Good, okay, we will call meeting to order. And start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance, to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just noticed the quirk. Thanks, everybody.
It's a bit decorated.
No, we have an attendance sheet going around. So while those are going around, we're gonna skip the approval of minutes since we don't have a quorum with which to vote on the approval of last month's meeting minutes. And we will jump right into regular business with Francis and the WLS report. I know.
Well, we had our last board meeting on the November 29th, Tuesday, which is going to be the last meeting of the year, by the way. And the meeting started with an annual meeting of the WLS. It was a very short meeting, almost pro forma. We had two items on the agenda. One is we elected 3 new board members to the board. To replace those who are outgoing, whose terms have expired. And secondly, we received and took note of the report by the executive director on the annual activities, annual report of the WLS by the executive director. It is a very good report, very short, comprehensive, it's easy read, and it's quite informative. I hope that the director has a copy. We could, if not,
I didn't bring Terry.
Okay, we could.
I will in the future if you want me to.
Yeah, okay, we would circulate that to the board. You'll find it quite informative. So it was a very short meeting. The election of the new board members and the approval of the annual report. That was the annual meeting of the WLS. And then we immediately adjourned and then called order a meeting of the board itself. And during that meeting, we accomplished quite a number of things. The first thing is the formal approval of the operating budget. Formal approval of the budget of the WLS. The total amount of the operating budget is about $7 million. Now, there's a certain useful background that I would like to give to the budget. First, the budget has been developed in support of the Westchester Library mission to empower the lives and the communities by connecting people to the Westchester County with the resources, services, and programs available through WLS. In other words, the strategic plan that we adopted early in the year, which emphasizes the promotion of equity and access. In other words, our patrons should be enabled to be aware and access the resources that the libraries have, because it's like a poor person who doesn't know he has $1 million in the bank and is going hungry and sleeping out and so on. So the people, the patrons in the county should be aware of the resources that the libraries have for them, and then to connect the two sides together. So that's one of the strategic plans. The second one is the expansion of the library engagement with other libraries, WLS engagement with other libraries, and also the other partners in the community, because we are not the only game in town. There are others also operating in the county. So if we can work together with them, we will definitely maximize our impact. And the third area of focus in the strategic plan is the update and continuous improvement of the infrastructure of WLS. This has to be a work in progress. There's We constantly have to adapt ourselves to the changing environment and to things that we may not even expect. I mean, like the COVID, which came in and threw everybody off guard almost, or ransomware, or any of these things, which we should be prepared for. But in any case, the administration, for WLS and the library, should constantly be on the lookout and scanning the horizon, make sure that they can, to the extent possible, foresee any developments in that may be coming affecting the operation, and they should be able to adjust to that quickly. So the budget has been couched in that context, and having chaired the strategic subcommittee on that, I insisted that that point be made very clear, so that has been made very clear. So that's the one context in which the budget was developed. Secondly, we took into account two assumptions in developing the budget. One is that there would be no increase of funding from New York State, and we're nearly right on that. And that there would be a reduction in IT fees of approximately 2.4%. IT fees, that is the fees that WLS charges the libraries for the technical support that they provide. Why is there a reduction? Well, because some libraries are opting out. Few, not many, few are opting out and outsourcing their needs elsewhere, and rather than depending on. There are not many, as I said, rather than depending on WLS, and so that to some extent reduces the
Just a
revenue.
clarification.
Mhm.
Libraries are opting out of WLS's telecommunications
Yes.
network, but all the libraries in the county are still part of the Evergreen
Yeah,
network. I just
right.
wanted to. let
That's
you
right.
know.
That's why I think the reduction is very small, it's 2.4%. But in any case, in couching the budget, we took into account that small reduction in revenue, as well as the fact that we might not be getting the kind of money that we expect from New York State. And the third thing that was done is that we had three budget and finance committee meetings, very detailed and long ones, while developing the budget. We went into the different departments and units of WLS, asking them what staff they have, what they do, what resources they need, and how they use these resources. So it was quite painstaking. And it is from that we were able to develop what WLS as a whole would need. So these are the three areas. I thought it would be nice to highlight it for this board to know. Now, the operating budget, as you know, has two sides: the revenue side and the expenditure side. The revenue, we get our revenue mainly from New York State, about 40% from New York State, and then also from the libraries, the fees that we charge the libraries, it comes to about 38%. And then Westchester County provides about 18%, and then the rest. So that for this year, 23, that comes to about $7 million. That incidentally is a drop of about 5.5% from the current year. So the idea is we have tried not to increase our budget. We try to maintain same level that we have had this year, 22, and not exceed it, while increasing the use of the resources that we have. And we're trying to ask WLS to do more with what they have to the extent possible. So that is the revenue, about 7 million. Expenses has gone to about 7.4 million. And that is about 2.2% over the current year. So we are expecting a little more expenses than the revenue. So the question you're going to ask is that how do we close the gap, which is about $340,000. We requested the budget committee recommends that the WS should use the unrestricted assets that is available to meet the gap, $340,000. I don't think this is too much. So that is how we're going to be closing the gap. And we might not even need all the $340,000. Maybe make some savings from somewhere else. So that is the budget which we adopted. The activities are pretty much the same that we have been doing in the past years. There are four main areas where most of our money is going in. First is the support of the libraries. About 60% of that is going to support the library, the technical assistance and whatever, IT and so forth. And about 20%, 1.5 million is going in direct support of our patrons. I would like to see more of that, but in future we'll see that more resources can be devoted to direct assistance to our patrons, because that is really that's the purpose of our being, support to our patrons. And then about 1.4 million for administration, salaries, retirements, pensions, etc. And then only 2% from other sources. So there you are with the budget. The second thing we did is we took note of the investment account. WLS has something like $1.5 million, which it has been able to invest in short-term U.S. treasuries, purchase of U.S. treasuries. We recommended that this practice should continue, taking advantage of the fairly favorable and high interest rates, the current favorable and probably increasing interest rates in the treasury market. So we encourage them to do that. They've been getting some money from these short-term investments. Sometimes they go up to $100, and at one time they went up to $1,500 and so on. But anyway, it's better than nothing. So the money is plowed back into the investment. That's it. Then my last point is that we also completed updating the policies that WSS has on a number of issues like sexual harassment and violence in the workplace, etc. There are about 12 or so of such policies that have been updated over the last three months in the light of changes in the New York state laws. Whenever there's a change in there, we have to update our policies accordingly. And we went through that exercise quite rigorously, and that has been completed and the board has approved it. So that's all that we've been doing in the past few months, and we are going to take it well and rest next a few months until the beginning of February. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thank you. I have a quick question, Francis. Is the unrestricted assets, is that the same as like what we would call the fund balance? It's the same, just a different terminology, or is it? You said the gap. The gap. Yeah, that's the unrestricted assets fund is the same as a fund balance, like what we have.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. Exactly.
And that money is separate from the money set aside for the next iteration of the county IT, network, and that's an entirely different pot of money.
But as I said, yeah, exactly. As I said, it's a small amount of money, so it should not disrupt any other arrangement. That $340,000 should not be too much, but it was noting.
Thank you for that. And here's the attendance.
Okay. I'm here.
You're there. Go sign it. Thank you. President's report. I don't have much tonight, I don't think, but I will pass it off to Tom. And when I have any notions of things I need to say, I will say them afterwards.
Thanks, Whitney.
Thanks.
Try to make this report brief. As you folks know, we are still waiting for the 2 checks to arrive relative to our 2021 grant program, which is the 3rd floor renovation here and the air conditioning units at the Huguenot Children's Library. The announcement was made a few months ago. We're still quite anxious to receive the checks and start moving in both of these areas. The fire stopping and safety project, as you folks know, our architect put out the bid to 5 qualified vendors. We had 1 return and a second return that was partial. And so the architect is working towards asking the vendor in question to complete all aspects of the bid request. And he actually was ill this past week, and he reached out to us after I reached out to him. He's feeling better. I'm hoping that we'll have a meeting to talk about the status next week and have something more tangible to report to the board at the January meeting. As you folks know, the 2 grants that were submitted earlier this year, one for the acoustic reduction efforts in this building, and the other series of improvements at the Huguenot Children's Library, have safely left the Westchester Library System headquarters, has gone to the state of New York, and there's a process that will be followed in which they will be looking at our grants on both the state library in Albany as well as the dormitory authority. So no word yet. We're hoping that we'll get word in June of next year, as opposed to this year where we got word in October. So things were delayed because of the pandemic, apparently. The ARPA grants, I had told you previously that the foundation request for $450,000 was passed over, but not rejected. A number of organizations in the city did receive funding. All sound great. We're hopeful that in the next grant cycle, we will be considered. No word yet in regards to that topic. So just hoping to hear something in the not too distant future. The other issue is something that we had talked about at the last meeting, and that was the foundation's planned giving campaign, which met with huge success, in which a gentleman, Dr. Ed Pasuti, actually, who has spent his life here, and his parents, and before that, his grandparents. So he has ties to New Rochelle. He was an educator throughout his career, ending as head of guidance at New Rochelle High School. He is an elderly gentleman in his late 90s, but in very sharp and together. But he had made a decision to leave the foundation a significant amount of money. I think I shared with you, it was almost $670,000. And that's very exciting. It will go to the foundation, and he wants the money to be used for efforts that relate to children's and teen services, both at Maine and at the Huguenot Children's Library. And in acknowledgement, we all agreed that the teen room would be renamed the Pasuti Family Teen Room. On Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there will be a reception for Mr. Pasuti. He will be there, and I'll be there. And I understand that Whitney, you have a conflict, but Rhiannon is attending. But Corey, you're welcome to attend if you happen to have any free time. Any board member would be great to be there to honor this gentleman, you know, for his extraordinary generosity. The scenario is such that we will not be placking or naming the room until the bequest is received, but we'll have sort of a mock picture of the plaque in the area adjacent to the teen area. And so that will be something. There'll be a reception afterwards, and just very grateful for this kind of generosity that will allow us to continue to fund all our areas, you know, long into the future. It's Sunday, Corey, and it's going to be at 3 o'clock. It'll be on the second floor, sort of adjacent to the teen area, and then in the conference room there'll be refreshments. And I should say, this is not an event that will go on and on. It'll be no longer than an hour, because I know everybody is, busy on the weekend. But if you could come, that would be really wonderful. So having said that, let's see. The Friends of the New Rochelle Public Library had a reasonably successful holiday book sale. They made nearly $1,000, which is great. One thing I meant to bring, in any event, every year we go to the Friends and make a budget request for monies to be spent in the library with the monies that the Friends earn. And believe me, it's hard-earned money, as you know, through the book sales, et cetera. This year, we submitted a budget request of $67,000, and the totality of it related to the ongoing programs that the Friends have been supporting for many, many, many years. And the programs relate to children's, teen, and adult services, and the monies relate to, could be ongoing programs, it could be special programs. School vacation programs are really popular, where we have programs so that families who are, in the city during a school vacation have things to bring their kids to here at the library. And of course, the teen programming as well. Our teen librarian and her assistant are busy there. And of course, our adult programs that go out throughout the year and touch all ages. So that was approved unanimously. And so we're very grateful that that happened. That was at the Friends board meeting yesterday, which is the first meeting that they have convened since the onset of the pandemic. So it's a nice event. It was held at Amy Teet's house, who's the Friends president. And we're really grateful for what the Friends do. They're not a large organization, but they work really hard. It was great. Let's see, the foundation. There are lots of things to report. First of all, we talked about the event on Sunday at 3 o'clock, but I also want to mention that the foundation is planning a welcome to the library event on the 25th, which I believe is a Wednesday evening, 25th of January. And the concept is that New Rochelle has extraordinary development surrounding the library in the downtown area. Many, many, many new residents have arrived. And so the foundation, along with other nonprofits in the community, including the Business Improvement District, the Fund for Educational Excellence, and the New Rochelle Arts Council, are having a sort of a welcome event here in the library. And I'm asking you folks, if you can attend, that would be nice. I know Whitney has said that she'll be attending. And what we want to do is introduce our services to the community. Many people have discovered, that we are here. There are many, many, many more that don't know. And so we're just trying to find ways to make ourselves visible, to market ourselves, to let people know that there are services from preschoolers to seniors and everything in between. So that's an event, and I will send out information about that. As if you note that date, that'll be wonderful. I don't have a lot of particulars yet. I think it's still in the planning stages. And another event that's coming up, and I don't have really, I have very bare bones information about it. There is going to be yet another Cocktails and Conversation event that's sponsored by the foundation. There was one last Wednesday, which featured Megan Abbott. It was held at Alvin and Friends Restaurant. It was really a wonderful night. It was sort of managed by Dr. Amy Bass, and it was just really a good evening. Rhiannon was there. She was selling books for Megan Abbott. I see you. And we had fun, and it was just a good event. Now, the next event, they're still working through the details. It will feature Dahlia Lithwick, who is really somebody pretty impressive. They're not certain if it's going to be entirely virtual. Lynn Green seems to think there's a possibility it could be a hybrid, or it could be virtual and also held here in the library. And I think Dahlia has a book that she's publishing or about to publish. So, and she's been a guest of Cocktails and Conversation previous years in person at Alvin's, and it was a really good program. January 19th. But I don't have really much more than that. It's January 19th, so mark that on your calendars. I don't think it's coinciding with a board meeting either, which is good.
Good.
Yeah. So there's that. Yet another fundraiser that the foundation is thinking about, and this will probably be their most significant fundraiser for the fiscal year. And that's something they're characterizing as, let's see, show you a flyer, an early version, Game On. Take a look at that, Corey, and share it with others. And it's going to be held at the library. I think it's March 10th and 11th. March 10th will be the fundraiser for the foundation, where there'll be a miniature golf course set up throughout the library, and there'll be games and other things there that will be a fundraiser. And on Saturday, the foundation will exit, and we as a library will be responsible for managing this golf course for that day. So we're working on how that will work. But it sounds fun to make it available to families rather than just a smaller subset of folks who can afford to participate in this foundation event.
Is this in lieu of the gala?
Yeah. I think their general feeling is the bandwidth that is necessary in creating a gala is just sort of lacking. You know, I think their goal is to try to do a gala every other year or every third year. So this could be a lot of fun. And so as soon as I have more information, I'll share it with you. And that's it for my report. And I'll just go very briefly to a short personnel report. As you know, our social media videographer, a graphic designer position was vacant since Nikki Fudge left. And so the city civil service department advertised it. We received some applications today. And so we're actually hoping to try to interview a candidate or candidates next week. So we're working towards that. We're also looking for 2 part-time positions in children's services. It's perennially an issue that's just, you know, a lot going on there these days, and they just need staff to help keep up with all the classes that have been coming in, which is wonderful, the kindergarten classes, et cetera. And so that's it.
Thank you. That's great. That's all great news. Yep, Assistant Director's report, Elizabeth.
So last month I spoke about this program, national program called STEM Tales. This month, I'm happy to report that we were awarded the grant, and we are one of 21 libraries in this country to receive the grant. And the grant really allows for staff training, mentoring, and stipends for STEM programs. And the goal of the program is to really introduce young children ages 4 to 8 to STEM careers. So you'll be hearing from scientists and oceanographers in their own element. And it's a way to build interest in not just STEM, but also STEM careers. The library is now registered as a climate resilience hub, which means that we will be the center that provides education around climate preparedness and extreme weather. And really, it's a way to kind of sort of start this whole process about helping people understand about climate resiliency and our role in building a more sustainable future. So that's really exciting. It's a project that comes out of a New England-based organization called Better Future Project, and they are just branching into this part of the country, which is the Northeast. And we are actually one of the first cities in Westchester County and even this part of New York State to be a hub. So that's really exciting, and we're looking to do some programming and start building an audience for this. Study rooms, which have always been in demand, we are now going to be launching an online reservation system where people can go online, look at the rooms that are available and reserve them online. So that's really exciting. Last month, I also spoke about our staff favorites for the year. That has like now gone up. We have gotten a really collective response from people, and it's been great because members from different departments and ECL and everyone from Pages to our CERC staff have participated, and it's really great to see. So there will be a social media campaign that's going to be launched this month, featuring photos and videos, and it's going to be exciting to engage our community and get to hear what their favorites are as well. This month, I looked at teacher engagement statistics for this month as well as last year, and we are proud to report that figures are going up throughout the building and throughout our use of collections and programs. So you'll see the new books, new adult books, the CERC has gone up, children's book, teen materials, museum passes, all of the big things are now sort of going back to even pre-pandemic levels. So that's really exciting to see. One of the major highlights of circulation is our overdrive material checkout. So during the summer, when I was looking at the checkouts, we had the 9th largest circulation in the county. We are now at the 7th largest. So we are really inching up there, and we are monitoring our holds and looking at what people want. And I think that's a result of this high CERC number. So I think that at the end of this year, we can really say that people are returning in droves, people are using us, and that is seen through the usage of our materials and attendance at our programs and the questions and interactions that we field at the desk. So great end to this year.
That's great. Thank you. I have a question. Is the Better Future Project, do they only work through libraries, or are libraries like one avenue? through
One
which-
avenue.
And they work
through-
through
right.
schools or other?
Well, no, actually, it's
partners?
mostly like public and not schools, but libraries and other community centers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very cool. And it's New England based? Where is it?
I believe they're in Boston.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes.
I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, they're a really
Familiar.
great organization.
Yeah, I recall looking into them.
Right, I think they're, if you've heard of CREW, have you heard of CREW?
Yeah.
Climate resilience. Something, yeah,
Okay,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, because Massachusetts is definitely pioneering a lot as far
Right.
as climate resiliency. So, and is you received the grant, and
Right.
is it for a time frame?
So it's going to be a 2-year period. They're going to start out with evaluating the staff in terms of what they know and what their needs are. Then they provide support, then they provide some money that would help sustain this program. And so in about 2 years, fall of 2024 is when we'll have to complete 4 programs. And then they will then evaluate the programs and the staff and the participants. And they're going to offer us the money so we can offer transportation stipends to the participants and have snacks and that type of thing.
Oh,
So,
that's great.
yeah.
And then is the idea that you could renew the grant for the future, or that you would then have established programs that we would need to find
Yes, right,
continuing funding for?
right, right,
Got it.
yes. But I mean, we're going to be getting a lot of materials in the interim, right? We're going to get activity kits, we're going to get books. So those are things that we can use for a while.
Okay, so there'll be like a template
Right,
for
right,
things that can
right.
help.
Yeah, and
Once
we're going to
it's-
be building better sort of best practices in the field of like STEM education for public
Excellent.
libraries. So we'll be a part of that cohort as well.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you. So that's for the STEM Tales, and then for the climate resilience hub.
Right.
Okay. And that's over what, is that just like forever?
Right, it's forever,
Yeah,
right,
okay.
it's forever, right. So the first step is to be designated this hub where we're going to provide education. The next step really, which they haven't established yet, but be to be like a center, like a place where if there is a climate disaster, that we would offer our facility for like overnight stays and, that type of thing. And they're not there yet, and neither are most of our locations.
And you said how many in Westchester County?
None.
None. So this is a question I have then is that once we learn how to be a hub, is that knowledge we could then share through?
Yes,
WSS to
absolutely.
the-
Right,
so that Our
yes.
whole county can.
Yes,
become hubs,
absolutely. Right.
So we can share the wealth of that designation over time once we get our bearings and understand.
Right.
Because the more,
Absolutely.
the more
Right,
the better, and then Westchester itself could be.
right, exactly. Right,
beacon.
yeah. So I mean, I suppose we could be a pilot program in Westchester County.
Yeah, and maybe through that process, early on, finding some designees from other libraries so
Right.
that, because not everything about us is applicable to every other library in Westchester County, but I'm sure there's plenty of overlaps, but then there's going to be need for adaptation and so once you get your bearings and feel ready,
Right.
you know, that would be something we could try to share early on so that we're.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And
That's exciting.
yeah, that is. And I mean, if you look at Lisa's report from Community Relations, she talked about talking to some different organizations like Sustainable Westchester and
Yeah.
I think Neighborhood Yards. So I think that these are the beginnings of a program that we can duplicate with other organizations in other areas.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on all of those things to all of us.
Mm, mm.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Anything else? A lot. Okay, that brings us to committee reports. We will start with the budget committee, which is to say we're scheduling our first meeting. It'll be probably the second week of January, we hope, or possibly the third, but we're just getting that on the calendar. That's a normal start time for budget discussions, and we'll get our bearings, figure out where we are now, and look at projections from Tom and Jean and see where we'll go from there. Buildings and Grounds Committee. Did we meet since we met with DRI? Have we talked?
No, we have not. I think there was some sense that we'd probably postpone a meeting till after the holidays.
Correct, yep. So we met, Buildings and Grounds Committee met with DRI, which are like a project management firm, and they help with assessing your capital project needs and helping guide funding options and helping you to understand what those options are and kind of the big picture, feasibility studies, et cetera. So they're one of what we believe should be a few different firms, similar firms. And we're just kind of in that process. We've had between babies being born and illnesses and the holidays where we've kind of just put a halt on that, but I believe in January we will get cracking. And then we are here with community relations.
Yeah,
That's me. Yeah.
So I have the pleasure of telling you about the great work that the community relations team continues to do. There was a huge variety of different programming going on again in November and in the first week of December, a whole variety of concerts and workshops and classes that were all really well attended. There were some concerts that had up to 100 people attending, which is so great. One highlight, I think, was the Rudolph Rocks Neuro. I missed it unfortunately, but I saw all the fun pictures online, and I believe it was a collaboration between all different entities in New Rochelle, the city, and the Parks and Recs, Chamber of Commerce, and others, and the library. And it was Robert May, the creator of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, was inducted to the New Rochelle Walk of Fame. And it was a really well-attended, wonderful program for kids, a great day for everybody. And then there are a few events coming up, all also to be found on the website, so I won't go into too much detail. But there will be the third film in the series, the New Rochelle Plays Hollywood film series this Sunday. doesn't have a time on here. I'm not quite sure.
2
what-
o'clock.
2 o'clock, thank you. So we'll be right before out there. And we'll be screening Edge of the City. Should be exciting. And then there are the workshops, knitting workshops, which are popular and other things going on. And there's a great event during the December school break when the kids are home. On the 29th, December 29th, Music with Zev is going on. Tom, you already mentioned the meet and greet for the downtown residents on January 25th. I'm looking forward to that one, and the fundraiser on March 10th. The service of the BTOP Health and Learning Center continue to really help patrons with a whole range of needs. The Chromebook and Hotspots lending program, the word's out there and it's becoming more popular. And so far 47 devices have been checked out since the rollout of this program. And that goes along with some coaching for patrons who need it. So some Chromebook coaching for those who are new to it, learning about Google email and privacy, things like that. So when they take the device home, they're really able to use it. And one really nice story about a patron who was able to take a hotspot home, and it really helped him or her during the COVID recovery, because they were able to do their visits, the telehealth appointments with their doctor because of this hotspot that the library was able to provide, which is so great. And then there's a job search coaching is going on. Healthcare Navigator is helping with health plan related issues, and food pantry continues. There'll be a visit at the Isaac Young Middle School on the 21st, December 21st, and senior housing visits will continue in January of next year. English conversation classes, English as a second language classes, all these great things continue at the library and will continue in the spring of next year also. And that is my fun report.
I think it's worth just briefly mentioning that Rhiannon mentioned our Chromebook and our Wi-Fi hotspot loan program, which is taking off with really nice success. But the next phase of that type of effort will be with the addition of 50 iPads that will be, which will have internet access on them, which is again part of a grant, the Emergency Connectivity Fund that the library obtained through the work of Daniel O'Jerry, who's our IT head, without a match, which is always nice to get all of that. So more technology will be rolled out to the community, you know, for them to use, you know, when they are in a situation where it would make a difference.
When will the iPads be available?
You know, I'm not entirely certain. I think we're waiting we've gotten a letter of notification telling us that indeed we did get the money. We're waiting for the federal government to sort of confirm that and send us a check. Then we can then make it available to the vendor. So I don't really have a time frame, but it's coming.
I have a quick question that is not really that related to anything, but I don't want to forget about it. Are there upcoming trustee workshop events through the
I haven't seen anything mentioned,
No.
but
It's
you know,
coming, yeah.
because of the new obligation for trustees to have
of this year,
Yeah.
so starting in January?
you know, WLS has done a really fantastic job bringing in speakers and panels that discuss all sorts of issues. My assumption, for instance, is because it's the holiday season, they're sort of slowing down, but I would think we'll have a slate. And I could even reach out to Terry.
Sorry. My one comment is that they have, they cycle through, or they've covered a lot of different topics, but they may want to consider repeating some for, oh, they're recorded. Okay, got it. That's true. Yeah. Just because there's always new trustees coming on board. Yeah.
But
Or like if there was an angle of a topic that was a fresh angle, but as, similar. Yeah, I mean, they could also,
place.
But if the board has a topic they're interested in, I'm sure Francis and I could.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice
Sure,
if the team producing those events, especially since it's a requirement, could go out to trustees and ask,
Yeah.
are there things you'd like us to talk about, or are there issues that, and then they could aggregate and see if there is some commonality.
That's a good point. I'll take it up.
I will too. Go both ends. Terry is the executive director. He's very open-minded.
Yeah.
Thank you. I like those things. They were, I attended 3 of them, I think so far, but none of them probably count towards, towards my, but I was just practicing for the real deal.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Finance committee? Yeah, okay. All right, Corey and I will connect. Personnel committee, nothing so far. Lucille's not here. Policy committee, same thing, and special projects. So we have no public to be heard tonight.
No, I just want to comment our library. Friends. That I'm taking the library. Quite impressive. Quite impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the community is quite happy with going through these activities. And also, this event we have on the 25th of January, which is, I like that very much because it's very, it ties up with one of the objectives of the strategic plan that we have. There was another thing I wanted to check. The Pursuit Teen Center. If I'm mistaken, is the Children's Center not already named after some?
No,
What is this lady's name? I'm trying to remember.
in Maine, you're gonna
The
Children's
lady
Library.
who passed,
Sorry,
The woman who
Karen Allen, that's the archives.
Oh, they asked, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
the team room is not.
Yeah.
The
okay.
teen room
Not
is yet unnamed.
Oh,
Well,
okay,
soon-
right. yeah.
Soon possibly to change.
Okay, right. Anyway, I'll be there on Sunday.
Good. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sorry to miss Sunday. I had, there's a musical called Strange Loop. Has anyone seen it? It was recommended to me by the president of the New York Philharmonic that I should go see it. I got tickets and then found out about the Ed Paschuti event after the fact, so I'm very disappointed, but I'm just doing the bidding of the New York Philharmonic president. So,
Great.
but I hear it's fantastic, and I'll let you all know. It's on Broadway. So I'm very sorry to miss it, and I may contribute some words of thanks, maybe that you could share.
Absolutely. If
on
you,
my behalf.
if you'd like to send them to me
Please, yeah.
or Rhiannon or either one of us. Yeah.
Good, so there's no public to be heard.
And I think the friends of the library also need a pat on the back. I mean, they're doing a good job.
Absolutely.
Whenever I talk to my colleagues in the board about it, they're quite impressed. And I never miss an opportunity to say hello to the old ladies who are working constantly.
They're working
So,
hard. Yeah, we were here on
Yeah,
Saturday.
Quite,
and-
quite impressive.
Yeah, it was busy. I mean.
That was the holiday book sale.
Yeah, yeah, that's why we came.
Yeah.
Just trying to.
Good
support it.
reason,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Lots of good deals.
I couldn't stay because I was like still with the flu situation.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be in public for very long. I had my mask on, but I couldn't stay. And, but I was happy to see how busy it was. So, and they have some good stuff, stuff I've read, stuff I wanted to read, I will read. So, excellent. Good. Anything else? Lots of good stuff to look forward to. So thank you. So with that, I will make a motion, which I don't know if we can even vote whether or not we adjourn. We're just gonna be here for like a month.
Yeah.
We're not leaving until
Right.
more people show up.
We need to drag another board member out, right? To allow us to leave.
Absolutely.
30 days later.
We have sleeping bags are coming in, food, et cetera.
So how do we adjourn? Is it,
We just,
we're just gonna adjourn, okay?
Just walk away from it.
Just walk.
Load it back out.
Slowly